Loyalty is the word people love to use the most and understand the least. We speak of it as if it were sacred, as if loyalty were an unbreakable bond that lasts through time, struggle, and pain. But Niccolò Machiavelli, the cold observer of human nature, saw something else. He saw that loyalty is not born from virtue. It is born from advantage. People are not loyal because they are good. They are loyal because, for the moment, it is profitable to be. When times are bright, when you're winning, when your name carries weight, loyalty gathers around you like moths to a flame. Friends, followers, and allies all speak the language of faithfulness. They swear devotion. They promise to stand by you. They speak as though they would die for you. And yet, the moment the light fades, the moment you fall out of favor, or lose your power, or fail to deliver what they expected, the same mouths that praised you will whisper against you. The same hearts that swore to protect you will quietly drift away. Machiavelli understood this with chilling clarity. He wrote that men are loyal until danger approaches, and that once it does, their faith turns to fear. Loyalty, he said, is not an anchor. It is a costume people wear while the play suits them. Once the stage changes, the costume is thrown aside. It's not because humans are evil. It's because they are driven by one law stronger than morality, the law of self-interest. The illusion of loyalty is powerful because it feels good to believe in it. It gives us comfort to think that someone will always stand beside us, that loyalty can shield us from betrayal, that we are safe in the hands of others. But this comfort blinds us. It keeps us from seeing the true mechanics of human nature. In reality, loyalty survives only as long as the environment favors it. When loyalty begins to cost more than it gives, it collapses under its own weight. Machiavelli would tell you that the wise man expects this collapse. He does not cry over the death of loyalty because he never built his power upon it. He understands that human faith is a currency that devalues with time and pressure. He does not hate loyalty. He simply does not depend on it. He welcomes loyalty as a visitor, not as a foundation. And this is the first step to seeing the world as Machiavelli saw it. To remove the illusion, to stop expecting loyalty to be pure. To understand that the same person who swears devotion today may betray you tomorrow, not because they changed, but because the situation did. When you learn this, you no longer take betrayal personally. You see it as a reflection of the world's true order. So before you trust, before you give your heart, your secrets, or your power to another, remember this: loyalty is not love. It is a shadow that moves with the light. When the light shifts, the shadow disappears. And the only real loyalty that remains is the one you hold toward yourself. If you wish to understand betrayal, do not begin with morality. Begin with self-interest. Betrayal is not born out of evil. It is born out of need. Every act of disloyalty, every broken promise, every knife in the back begins with a simple calculation. What is best for me right now? Machiavelli saw this pattern everywhere, in courts, in wars, in friendships, and in love. He knew that the foundation of human behavior is not virtue, but advantage. People follow virtue when it is convenient, but they abandon it when it costs them too much. A man will speak of loyalty with passion, but when standing by you demands real sacrifice, that passion melts away. Virtue sounds noble, but hunger, fear, and ambition are far louder voices. Machiavelli wrote that men are whitened, ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous, not as an insult, but as a diagnosis. He was describing the natural instincts that guide human action. Gratitude fades when benefits stop flowing. Courage turns to cowardice when danger appears. And loyalty, that shining ideal, dies the moment it stands in the way of survival. Imagine a friend who swears loyalty to you in times of peace. As long as things are easy, loyalty feels effortless. But when the storm comes, when loyalty demands loss or pain, their heart begins to shift. They may not even notice the change at first. A thought grows inside them. Why should I suffer for someone else's fight? That thought is the seed of betrayal. It begins small, hidden under excuses and rationalizations. They tell themselves it's not betrayal, it's self-preservation. They tell themselves they deserve better. And slowly, they step away. This is how betrayal grows, not in sudden explosions, but in quiet, invisible steps. It begins in fear, the fear of losing comfort, status, or safety. It grows in temptation, the lure of something better, easier, more rewarding. And it ends in justification, the story we tell ourselves to make betrayal feel righteous. The betrayer rarely thinks of himself as cruel. He believes he is simply doing what anyone else would do. And in a way, he's right. Human beings were not built for loyalty. They were built to survive. Our instincts favor whatever ensures safety and gain. This is why Machiavelli urged rulers never to trust in goodness alone. Goodness is fragile. It disappears when fortune changes. He understood that if a ruler's power depends on people's loyalty, his rule is already doomed. For when fear, greed, or opportunity call, loyalty will vanish like smoke. We see the same truth in every corner of life. In politics, allies turn to enemies the moment a new deal is offered. In business, partners betray each other when profit appears elsewhere. In love, people walk away when devotion demands endurance. And still, we act surprised, as if betrayal were some strange disease. But Machiavelli would say, it is not the disease. It is the nature of the body itself. If you want to be strong, you must stop expecting people to act against their own interest. No one abandons comfort for duty forever. No one remains loyal when loyalty threatens survival. The wise man accepts this. He does not depend on virtue. He works with instinct. He knows that if people are guided by self-interest, the best way to secure their loyalty is to align that interest with his own. So when you think of betrayal, do not waste energy asking, how could they? The better question is, why wouldn't they? Why would anyone remain loyal when the cost outweighs the reward? Machiavelli's answer is simple. They wouldn't. They never do. And that truth, though cold, frees you. Because once you stop expecting loyalty from human virtue, you can begin to shape it through strategy, power, and necessity. Loyalty, in its purest form, does not exist. What we call loyalty is often just a temporary agreement between two needs. It lasts only as long as both sides are gaining something from it. The moment that exchange is broken, when one side stops receiving value, loyalty fades into silence. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He knew that people are not bound by emotions, but by advantage. They stay loyal as long as it serves their purpose, and abandon that loyalty the moment a better offer appears. Think of it this way. Loyalty is not a chain, it's a rope. And every rope frays with time. When the circumstances that hold people together change, so does their devotion. Machiavelli wrote that the promise made was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. In other words, people keep their word only as long as it is useful. Once it is not, then they find a reason to break it. They tell themselves that circumstances have changed, that loyalty no longer makes sense, that it is not betrayal, it is adaptation. You see this everywhere in life. An ally who once supported you suddenly turns away when your influence weakens. A friend who always stood by you grows distant once your presence no longer benefits them. Even in families, even in love, loyalty often has conditions. As long as the relationship brings comfort, validation, or power, loyalty feels natural. But remove the reward, remove the sense of gain, and what remains? Often, nothing but polite distance. This is not because people are evil. It is because people are rational, at least from their own perspective. Machiavelli would argue that humans are guided by necessity, not emotion. When being loyal no longer fits their interests, they shift course to protect themselves. To expect otherwise is to misunderstand the very nature of man. That is why Machiavelli warned rulers never to trust loyalty built on affection. Love is unreliable. Gratitude fades faster than it is earned. If a prince depends on the love of his subjects or the faith of his allies, his power rests on sand. Because when danger comes, love flees before fear. Fear is stronger, more dependable, because it aligns with self-interest. The fear of losing what one values. So if you want loyalty that lasts, make people's interests depend on your success. Make your fall their loss. Then even if they do not love you, they will stay close. Machiavelli believed that loyalty could be managed, but not guaranteed. It could be shaped, but never trusted. To him, loyalty was a tool of statecraft, a currency that must be spent wisely and renewed constantly. It was not a moral virtue, but a political instrument. The wise leader rewards loyalty when it's useful and replaces it when it's not. The foolish leader treats loyalty as sacred and is shocked when it dies. In modern life, the same rule applies. People will stay loyal as long as they see meaning or advantage in doing so. When a job pays well, when a friendship feels mutually beneficial, when a relationship meets both needs, loyalty thrives. But remove the reward or introduce a better alternative, and loyalty collapses almost instantly. The truth hurts because it unmasks what we all secretly know. Loyalty is rarely about others. It's about ourselves. Yet, there is power in this knowledge. Once you see loyalty for what it is, conditional, unstable, self-serving, you stop expecting permanence. You begin to treat loyalty like a flame, useful when it burns, dangerous when uncontrolled, and temporary by nature. You learn to feed it when necessary, to protect it when it serves you, and to let it die when it doesn't. So the next time someone swears loyalty to you, listen closely. Ask yourself what binds it. Is it love, gratitude, fear, or self-interest? Only one of these will endure hardship. Only one can be shaped and maintained. The rest will vanish with the first wind of change. Trust is the most dangerous gift you can offer another human being. It feels noble to trust. It feels mature, even spiritual. But to Machiavelli, blind trust was not a sign of strength. It was an opening, a doorway through which betrayal enters quietly. Every time you trust someone completely, you hand them a weapon with your name already carved on the blade. Machiavelli understood that people do not often betray out of cruelty. They betray out of opportunity. Trust creates opportunity. When you trust, you expose your weaknesses, your plans, your emotions, your patterns. You show others where you are soft. Most will not strike immediately. They will simply know. But when fortune turns, when your downfall becomes useful to them, that knowledge becomes their advantage. Trust turns from a bridge into a knife. That is why Machiavelli warned against innocence in politics and in life. He wrote that men are wicked and would not keep their word to you, so you need not keep yours to them. It sounds harsh, but what he meant was simple. People act in their own interest, not in yours. So, trusting without testing, believing without proof, is like walking into battle unarmed because you hope the enemy will be merciful. Trust makes us feel safe, but that safety is often an illusion. The more you trust, the more predictable you become. People learn how to move you, how to make you angry, how to make you forgive, how to win your approval. In the hands of the wise, your trust becomes a map of your vulnerabilities. Machiavelli's great insight was that the powerful never expose their entire map. They reveal only what is necessary, never what is vital. To him, trust was something to be managed, not given. He believed a wise leader should test loyalty before relying on it, and never depend on promises alone. If you must trust, tie that trust to necessity. Make sure the person benefits more from helping you than from betraying you. In this way, even trust becomes a form of control. When betrayal would harm the betrayer as much as it harms you, loyalty becomes rational. But the fool, Machiavelli would say, confuses faith with wisdom. The fool opens his heart freely, thinking that goodness invites goodness. He believes that by trusting others, he inspires them to be loyal. Yet history shows the opposite. The generous are often betrayed first. The kind are used the most. Because trust without caution doesn't inspire loyalty. It invites exploitation. Machiavelli often spoke of the delicate balance between love and fear. He said it was safer to be feared than loved, because fear is tied to survival, while love depends on emotion. Trust is the same. If you build trust purely on affection, it can vanish the moment feelings shift. But if trust is rooted in shared interest or mutual risk, it lasts longer, because it aligns with necessity. Even in our personal lives, this truth remains. Think of the people you've trusted completely. How many of them still hold that trust untouched? How many used your openness to their advantage? Perhaps subtly, perhaps innocently? We often discover that our trust made us predictable, and predictability is a weakness in a world built on ambition. This doesn't mean you should close your heart or live in paranoia. Machiavelli did not teach fear. He taught awareness. He would tell you to trust slowly, verify constantly, and always hold something back. Because when you hold back a piece of yourself, you hold power. You remain unreadable, untouchable, slightly mysterious. And mystery is protection. To trust wisely is to understand balance. Trust enough to build alliances, but never so much that your fall depends on another's promise. Show kindness, but keep control. Reveal emotion, but guard information. This is not cruelty. It is discipline. It is how you keep trust from becoming a blade turned inward. So, when you offer trust, ask yourself, does this trust strengthen me or expose me? If it strengthens you, use it. If it exposes you, guard it. Because in a world where everyone serves their own survival, even trust can become a weapon. And the only way to stay safe is to remember what Machiavelli knew centuries ago. That every handshake hides the potential for a dagger. And that wisdom is not in refusing to trust, but in knowing exactly when, how, and why you do. Machiavelli believed that true power is never built on love or faith. It is built on control. Love is unpredictable. Faith can be broken. But control, when properly managed, keeps loyalty alive even when affection fades. To survive in a world ruled by shifting interests and fragile promises, one must learn to divide, test, and control the loyalty of others. Not through cruelty, but through understanding. Not through force alone, but through design. To divide is not to destroy. It is to prevent alliances from becoming threats. Machiavelli advised rulers to avoid letting their allies grow too close to one another. When everyone around you is united by a shared dependency on your power, they remain loyal. But when they become united with each other, they no longer need you. The wise ruler never allows one circle of influence to dominate the rest. Instead, he keeps his followers slightly separate, their interests competing just enough to prevent unity against him. When they rely on him more than they trust one another, he holds absolute control. This principle extends far beyond politics. In every group, a workplace, a friendship circle, even a family, balance is power. When one person grows too influential, they can sway others. Divide gently, not with open hostility, but through subtle management. Give each person a unique role, a private reward, a different path to your approval. This way, everyone looks to you as the center, not as a friend among many, but as the source that connects them all. Next comes the art of testing. Machiavelli wrote that loyalty untested is loyalty unproven. People often speak beautifully of devotion and trust, but words are cheap until danger appears. The wise test loyalty quietly, without revealing the test itself. Observe how someone reacts when you deny them something they expect. Notice who defends you when you're not in the room. Give small responsibilities and see who carries them without recognition. True loyalty does not need reward to exist. But even so, it must be measured, not assumed. Testing also reveals what motivates each person. Some respond to praise, others to fear, others to opportunity. Once you know what drives someone, you no longer need to guess their loyalty. You can engineer it. The loyal are not born. They are shaped by the structure around them. The one who understands this can turn even potential rivals into servants of his purpose. Finally, there is a control, the most difficult and most essential of all. To control loyalty is to manage the invisible strings that move people's hearts. Machiavelli taught that the best ruler is both lion and fox. The lion inspires fear and commands strength, while the fox detects traps and manipulates perception. If you are only the lion, you will be deceived. If you are only the fox, you will be ignored. But when you become both, strong enough to demand respect, cunning enough to see betrayal before it happens, you control loyalty without begging for it. Control does not mean domination. It means balance. Keep your followers dependent enough to need you, but not so oppressed that they wish for your fall. Reward those who are useful, but remind them gently that their position depends on your favor. Fear, in small doses, is a stabilizer of loyalty. It prevents arrogance and keeps respect alive. Love without fear breeds complacency. Fear without love breeds rebellion. The wise master uses both like instruments in harmony. Machiavelli warned that generosity and affection, when given freely, create entitlement, not devotion. The more you give without reason, the more people begin to believe they deserve it. When the gift stops, resentment begins. But when rewards are measured, tied to merit or usefulness, loyalty feels like privilege. It becomes something people want to protect, not something they take for granted. To divide, test, and control is not to manipulate in cruelty. It is to see clearly. It is to accept that loyalty, like all human feelings, must be maintained through strategy. For Machiavelli, this was not cynicism. It was order. It was realism shaped into power. Because the truth is simple. Loyalty that depends only on emotion dies with emotion. But loyalty, controlled through understanding and necessity, endures even through chaos. The ruler who divides, tests, and controls can never be blindsided by betrayal, because he already expects it, shapes it, and uses it to strengthen his rule. That is the Machiavellian way, not to destroy trust, but to command it. Not to seek loyalty blindly, but to build it so carefully that even those who dream of your downfall still serve your purpose.